Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Ian Taylor et vous écoutez le podcast Marvel Card Collectors, votre résumé hebdomadaire des bandes de passe-temps. Cette semaine, je suis ravi d'accueillir le dessinateur et tatoueur Adrien Alrik Spada. Bienvenue, monsieur.
Merci de m'inviter. Thank you very much for being here with you today. A very good French introduction, actually. Thank you. I'm very touched about that.
Merci, monsieur. Um, I cheated a little bit, but my
Just
wife
what it
and I,
needs.
yes, my wife and I did have a really good go at learning French
Oh,
during COVID, and
okay.
so we have been practicing, but it's then we stopped. So anyway, so welcome. So for those who don't know, where in the world are you?
Actually, I'm from France in a small town called Bernay. It's in Normandy. It's a state, a region most people are aware of about the the strike at the end of World War II.
Hmm.
And I'm 42. I'm a father of two. I'm married to my beloved wife named Fleur, flower in English.
Yeah.
And she's a former illustrator too. How my wife and I met, it was during a convention in France, actually Japanese pop culture convention in Lyon,
Hmm.
the city I was raised. And actually, I met her not directly, but through drawing she made. And I thought at that time it was lithography of a famous manga called, in English, it's called Battle Alita Angel, but
Yes.
the real name is Ganmu. And it was actually the illustration of the fifth volume, I guess. As you can see, the heroine standing uh, in the middle of a concrete wall, and a very dark and grim illustration. And I thought it was a lithography of the original mangaka named Yukito Kishiro, but actually it was a reproduction made by Fleur. And it was the starting the start. Sorry about my English. Actually, I have to I have to apologize for that. But this illustration was the start of a relationship changing to a love story. Actually,
Your English is better than my French.
we will see about that during this interview, Jan. I guess.
Yes, yes. So how did you become an artist? How did you get your start with artwork?
If I have to do the proper origin story, actually, I have to thank my teachers giving me photocopies, and I flip them and draw in the back instead of listening during the session class. Um, I draw and I learn mostly by myself. I didn't do anything, any school or, or specific lessons. Even if I kept the it's called in French art plastique. It's arts, but in the wider spectrum, you can see the painting, the drawing, sculpture, photography, and so on. And I wanted to keep that during my scholarship mainly, so I kept it. And for my degree, I presented a specific, um, uh, how can I say this? a special editing with it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames about
Wow.
my favorite comic book at that time. It was Spawn, not this one. As you can see it's the
Yeah.
Gunslinger, but the original one, drawing at that time by Greg Capullo, and I had 18 on 20 at the time with this this creation, and I found that really cool to speak about pop culture to people who may not be aware of. So after that, keep trying to drawing, learning, reproduce from the pages of comics. I did that a lot during my teenagehood. Um, Mainly the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, drawn by Mark Bagley, who
Yes.
is quite a mentor to me, because I found his storytelling, his way of depicting this aerial choreography about Spider-Man, very cool and dynamic. So I was trying back then to capture those moments and to reproduce them by myself. And later after that, during 2021 or 2000, I discovered in a shop where I usually buy my original version of comics. I discovered a fanzine,
Ah,
uh, a magazine made, yeah, a magazine made by pop culture, Japanese pop culture fans, about just the cover was about Senseiya. I don't know if you know this. Yeah,
yeah.
you know it.
Yeah.
Okay, and uh, I took a look about it, and I found it interesting. And I see it's called in French l'ourson, at the second page of the magazine, where you can find the information about the association, the address, and so on. And I discovered it was just the street behind my parents' house.
Wow.
So I took my best drawing with me. I knocked at the door and I present myself and my work. And I joined the association. And this is where I met several weeks later during the convention, the one who became my wife now.
Wow. Wonderful story. I love it.
I'm sorry, I go. I know you have one question, and I go in
That's fine. That's fine.
many ways.
That's fine. This podcast always goes on a meandering journey. It's never a straight line. So, so this
Okay,
is good. This
okay.
is good.
And to complete the answer about your question about my way of learning art, like I said, I observe a lot, reproduce a lot when I was young, not so much more, not so much now, but I like to, as a practice, as a training, I like to draw uh, observation sketch what I see, and I try to reproduce. I'm try. I know I have to improve some skills, especially about perspective and the layouts, some sort the background.
Yeah.
I need to work on the background. Yeah, and I never stopped to draw actually. Uh, it never occurs to me to have a day without even sketching. If it's go to the trash at the end of the day, that's fine by me. But at least I keep keeping practicing.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like a muscle. You have to keep training to make sure that you're fit.
Exactly. And sometimes the muscle works automatically, and
Hmm.
sometimes you draw a line you weren't supposed to draw, and you find it more relevant than what you have in mind at first sight.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm.
That's interesting. So how did you come on to sketch cards? Was Marvel and Upper Deck the first sketch cards that you did, or had you started elsewhere?
Actually, the sketch card world is again for me now an entire world to discover, because the first card I have about comics, about Marvel comics, actually. Uh, it was during a walk in the whole part of the town in Lyon, and I found a booster of, I guess it was a Marvel Masterpiece. Back then it was 1994.
Okay.
And there was a Vulture drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz. I don't know if it's in I don't have it here.
That
I
might
had
be
to prepare for that.
1993. I think 1993 was.
Sorry about that.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. 1993. Yeah, actually, and I have too a card drawn by Joe Giusco, and Joe Giusco already blew up my mind because I, I discovered his art on a Silver Surfer cover. When you see a prompt on his surf and discovering the the outer space and the lights, the the silver matter. I don't know how it did that at that time, and it amazed me really. And I found this in these cards, and I see, and I thought at that time I didn't know this kind of media was possible.
Hmm.
And long years later, back to your question, my first approach to the sketch card was thanks to a friend of mine named Gail Sharp, who is also a sketch card artist at Upper Deck. And it was during an oral. You will see it all goes to a convention. It was
Uh-huh.
during a convention again when when I had a booth on the artist alley, um, and this friend of mine came by, and I don't know why I came up with this, but I I sell at that time illustration on tiny format, on tiny size,
Hmm.
and some on card size. And Gail discovered it, and he said it's perfect for what you can do for Upper Deck. I have an email. I will give it to you. Give them a sample of your work, and they will be back at you later. I, I think I said to him, yeah, give it to me, but uh, for my innocence, I thought it was going to fail. Actually, I didn't have that trust in my art to be that kind of professional. Actually, I was still learning at that time, and I still do. But I said, let's do this. It will be an experience after all. And I did my best to give the best sample I've got. I sent a Spider-Man, X-Men characters, some Fantastic Four Nemesis, and 2 days later, I got an answer from the talent coordinator at that time. It was Zach. I forgot his last
Oh,
name.
Baz,
It was
begins with B.
Bezdeka.
Yes, we go. Yeah.
Zach Bezdeka. Yep, that's it. Thank you for my memory, and you're a treasure for me for this time. And it was Zach Bezdeka who said to me, "Your art is great. we can hire you for a set. Are you interested? And I said, wow, not to him, but for me, once again, I'm going to draw the heroes of my childhood as a professional. That will be awesome as an experiment, as an experience first, but for me as well. I wish I could tell my younger self, dude, what you're reading now, you're going to draw them, but for cards later.
Wonderful.
And wouldn't believe. I wouldn't believe it. And then the first set I did for Upper Deck was, I have the last artist proof now, Fleer Ultra Spider-Man. I don't know if you see this properly. It's the
Yes.
lizard with the shadow of Dr. Connor just here. And I was really impressed by the quality of the card at the time, because the card was, as you can see, very thick, as you
Yeah.
can see now on the more recent sets. And I use a lot of materials on them. I used markers, I used inks, I used pencils, and I even used, I don't see, you can, I hope you can see, the scales actually were made of glitter ink.
Wow.
To make them shiny. And I found that great. And after this set, Zach liked it. Actually, I only had 2 cards rejected for this set.
Good.
One, it was entirely my fault. Forgot to put a shirt on Ezekiel. I thought he was bare chest with a vest, but he has a white shirt. My bad. And the second one, it was the Spider-Man with the 6 arms. I don't know, you know, when he tried to remove his
Yes,
powers,
that's right.
and he had some trouble on the way. I love that story there, yeah, actually. And this one was rejected, but I wanted to give it one more shot. And I said to Zach if he has another set in mind. And actually, there was another one. It was this one, Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2, and
Oh,
it
yes.
was thinner. This is to my last APs, so Star-Lord and Gamora. And I found that interesting because when I received the guidelines about the set, as for the Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, I discovered I have characters I loved, I can't draw for some dark reasons. And that's quite frustrating. But on the other hand, I was allowed to draw other characters than the ones belong to the Guardians of the Galaxy story. So
I
I
I
was
love
able to draw X-Men.
I love the
Sorry?
phrase. I love your phrase, dark reasons for why you couldn't draw certain characters. That's a wonderful
How
phrase.
could you say it otherwise? There
It's
are dark
perfect.
reasons.
Perfect.
The other reasons. And actually, I suddenly discovered when I go back in the sketch card business last year in 2022, thanks to Matt Dunford. And I would like, by the way, to thank him a lot in this video because actually he changed my life in many ways. And I would like to prove and to improve and do my best for the sketch card and the card in general. I have some goals and objectives to fulfill, and I hope, thanks to Matt, that it will come one day. But like I said, the sketch card was two experiences back in 2016
17,
and
16, 17. Yep.
2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then at that time, I was a salaryman in a supermarket. I was a cashier and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I draw in the meantime. And I discovered the world of the tattoo. As you can see, I have some tattoo myself. That's the consequences of it. So I changed I quit my job and I wanted to do for a living tattoo. I want to do tattoo, and it was very difficult for me, and it was very interesting too on the art side, because when you draw for a tattoo, you have to think in 3 dimension instead of two, because of the sheets of paper. You have to think in volumes,
Mm.
and I have to deconstruct what I thought to be acquired. And thanks to that, I had some skills unlocked about putting a shade like this, put in perspective like that, and so on. But the on the personal in my personal life, I mentioned my wife earlier. I said she was a former illustrator because she's suffering from an evolutive disease called fibromyalgia. I hope
Ah,
I spell it that properly.
yes.
A long story short, it's the brain sending wrong message to the whole body. Uh, Translations, headache, muscular, muscular issues, articulation issues, um, balance issues as well. So I had to make I had to make the decision, and at that time I worked in a shop, and things were going quite well, but not as well as expected. And I quit the shop and I work at home. And it was at that time when another sketch artist, uh, another artist, you know well, Jan, is called Fred Jan, actually.
Yes.
Is Yes, is a friend of mine, and actually we kept in touch back in 2016
Mhm.
when he started as well as a sketch card artist. Instead of me, he kept going. Me, I have 5 years of blackout. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm very impressed of what he did actually now for Upper Deck. His set is wonderful, very marvelous. And last year, when I said I had to quit the tattoo world, I wanted to know if there's any opportunities about sketch card. And Fred Yan sent me a DM and said, "This is the new talent coordinator. Send a mail, give it a shot. It will work." I said, "You sure?" He said, "Go for it." And it was Matt Dunford.
Hmm.
And in 1 month, I have three three sets to do.
Three.
Three proposition.
Wow.
One, I can talk about it now. It's FUA or Fleer Ultra Avengers. And two others at that time I can still talk about now because you know. But it was really exciting because I discovered some things changed, some things didn't, and the list of the band characters shocked me. Actually, in 2016, it was just what a long paragraph, and that's it. Now it's a page or page
Wow.
and a half, and yeah, it's really it's tough because in these band characters, I always wanted to draw Nightcrawler. Is my favorite X-Men character, and his band. That's sad. That's sad because I'm eager to do it officially. I hope one day he will come back as a notarized character to draw. So I used last year. I used my skill as a tattooist to perform. I think a better card I did back in 2015, 16, and 2017. I use different. How can I say it? The way I create card. For example, when I received the set, earlier I predetermine which character I want to draw. Either I have the guidelines or not. After that, if I see a character who is banned, I cross the line and I change it for another one. But when I have the list, I already have in mind what kind of situation, what kind of what kind of frame I have for this character. For example, for Wolverine, is it Weapon X? Is it the patch, or is it the X-Force Wolverine, and so on? And when I have it in mind, I do all the rough of all the cards. I don't work one card at a time because I did that on Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, and I realized that I wasted a lot of time. So I did all the rough, and then I did all the pencils. And when most of the artists do the inks and then the color, I switch because for me, as I draw quite quickly, the ink is still wet. And when I put the marker, the nightmare comes. So as a security for me, invert the steps, and that's changed a lot for me for the process, and it amuses Matt a lot about that, actually, because he said to me that I was one of the rare artists who do the color before the inks.
Wow.
And for me, it is quite a good exercise because it allows me to shape the volume in the color just before the inks. The inks is like the frame of the character. I don't have the proper English name for it in my mind right now. It may occur to me later. Sorry if I speak English, hopefully.
You're fine.
One more time.
You're fine.
But I like to think like this when I receive the set, when I have the topic, the subject, the title of the set. Okay, it's about these characters, but it's in extended universe. I know I can draw this character or this character. I know I can't draw this one or this one, and I set up a list. And when I have the list, just by curiosity, I send it to Matt and to give his thought, his opinion about it. He said, "Well, yeah, well, this one is good. This one is great." And for Fleer Ultra Avengers, for example, I did a card with Marrow of the X-Men, and Matt was exciting about it because he said to me that I was one of a few artists who think about this character because Marrow is not drawn anymore. But I find this character very very visual with
Yes.
all these bone spikes and so on. The Maro of the 90s, once again, I have a fond of this era, actually. And yeah, I like to know during the process if I'm on the right path or not. I know that at the end, it's the Marvel licensor who
Yeah.
have the final word. But that allows me to make some corrections along the way. And I know I just have to draw the card and scan them where they are finished and send it back to Upper Deck. But we talked a lot. We talked a lot during my first set in 2022 with Matt, and with Fleer Ultra Avengers. It it was very good to have feedbacks on about what is right or wrong along the process.
Good. How many cards did you do for Fleer Ultra Avengers?
For Fleer Ultra Avengers, I guess it was actually. Let me take a look. Uh, I have some binder here. I tried to prepare this interview a
Oh,
little, actually. Uh, I did one, two, three, four, five. I guess it was 50 cards, 50 sketch cards,
okay.
and I have five APs for this set.
Good. And
So 50 cards. Yep. For I have to did that for a month and a half. And funny story, I have the at that time I was doing a guest spot as a tattooist, uh, and I wasn't at home when FedEx shipped the cards for me. And I knew the deadline was really short, and I have 1 month and a half to do the 50 cards. So it was really intense, actually,
wow,
but really fun to do.
good, good. And that was the first set since 2017.
The first set in 2017 was Fleer Ultra Spider-Man.
But but Fleer Ultra Avengers was the first one since 2017. Yes.
Yes. That's what it was. This first one, and it was at that time during the process I discovered that my art was getting better. I hope. You have the final word because you are the one who have the who can see my
Mm,
art,
mm.
actually. And I know that back then on the Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, uh, I loved playing with perspective, with a huge fist in the foreground and the tiny heads on the background, in order to make a very very intense depth on the cards. Uh, and try at first during the rough process of Fleer Ultra Avenger to reproduce this this perspective, but with my style now, didn't find it quite accurate, and I changed it for for something else.
Interesting. So, shall we have a look at some of your cards? Because as we record, so I've got this ready to share on my screen. As we record, Fleer Ultra Avengers
Yep.
came out yesterday on
Yeah.
EPAC. So people
Yeah.
are pulling your sketches. So let me share the screen and let's have a look and see what has been found by collectors.
Oh,
Let's have a look. So, can you see this?
yeah.
There we we go. So far, let me
Hey,
just.
that's me.
That's you. Let me just refresh and just see if any more have been found because people open these all of the time. So here we are. So 3 are unlocked. There
Oh,
might have been more that have been found, but they've been locked away because the owners want to keep them. But let's have a look. So we've got 3 here from Fleer Ultra Avengers.
oh yeah.
Wow. So let's
To
have a look. And now this one, I love this one. It's Daredevil, I believe.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite character actually. Yeah, and I want to pay a tribute to Joe Quesada with the string and the movement of the
Yes.
string around him. Uh, I found it when I first read the comics. A very, very fascinating and interesting story, actually. When I discovered it on a double splash page, I guess, if I remember it properly, uh, the first thing I saw was the strings goes unnatural
Yes.
because of all the curves and the 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 rupture on the scissor on the line, as you can
Mm.
see on the right of the card, for example. And I found it really interesting in the movement. So in the move, so I tried to reproduce it on the card. And actually, as you can see, when I do the card, like I said earlier, I do all the roughs and then the pencils and then the color and then the ink and the final touches. The final touches actually are the white ink.
Yes.
It's the white ink that allows me to bring more light, making it shinier. And at at the very beginning, at the end of the card, I just put the ink and that's it. And I found it something unread. I when I saw the card, I said to me, I said it doesn't work because I can't read properly where the arm of Daredevil goes, where it stops, and where the string is. So I decided to put a thin layer of white ink around the character
Yes.
to make it more punchy. I don't know what you
Yes.
think about it actually.
I love it. I mean, I'm a massive fan of this run of Daredevil. If I remember correctly, this is the Marvel Knights
Ah,
relaunch with Joe
yep,
Quesada,
yep,
Jimmy Palmiotti, and Kevin Smith writing, if I remember correctly.
yep. And Danny Mickey on the ink, I guess, too.
Yes. And
One of the
then
inkers on Spawn once again.
that's right. And then I think that was 8 issues. Or is it 8? I think it was Guardian Devil was the story. I think it was 7 or 8 issues, and then
Hmm.
it became, and then you had a few issues of another artist, and then it became David Mack and the first
Yep,
appearance of Echo. Um, but
Echo. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. I
first
remember
run,
it. Yeah,
that
yeah,
first
yeah,
run
yeah.
was wonderful. I really enjoyed that story. It was such a good story, and it had a very stylized movement, and you've perfectly captured it here.
And a very grim tone actually, because
Yes.
the one picture came up in my mind, just kind of pop in my mind. It was Daredevil having a baby in
Yes.
front in the on the corner of a rooftop, ready to throw him in the void. Wow, wow, Daredevil, come on, you can
Mm,
do this.
mm,
It was a very powerful image to me.
very. Yeah, very. Um, the what I like the white border.
Yep,
Simone Bianche does that a lot on his works. Um,
yep,
it
yeah,
really,
yeah.
and it's such an interesting thing to
Much
see.
more better than I do.
Well, the different it's the different because your card is very tiny. His works are much larger. His
Yep.
sketch work is so much different to his larger work, and yet it's undeniably Simone. I mean,
I'm
his
following
style is
his
so
Instagram account, and I can see that during these his painting sessions. You can see he can put the bigger the size is, the more he can put detail on.
It's fascinating to watch him. It really is
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
He is. I always equate him. I kind of think uh, kind of a crazy genius is how he comes across. Um, because
A
he's got
mad scientist of the paint.
yes, mad scientist, but he's got that energy about him, and a lot of. Funny enough, when we spoke to Greg Hildebrandt, he has that same energy. He has that same kind of
Yep.
um,
He can see
joie
the
de vivre.
moment, actually.
um, and who else? And Bill Sienkiewicz is a much quieter, calmer man, but his genius is just there in his style and his artwork. So I find it fascinating, all those
I love how
influences.
Bill Sienkiewicz worked with his lines. Yes,
Mm,
yes.
mm.
I agree with you.
So that's I love that you've had a direct see that I always like to look at the way an artist has their mark, if you like, on the card. And I love this. I've seen this before. I
Actually, I
didn't know
made
that was you.
thank you. I made a stamp of it actually now.
Oh wow.
For example, yeah. Oh no, it's not on this one, but on the future sets, you will see a stamp of my signature
Oh cool. Okay.
uh, with this rectangle, with this square, and
It's nice.
my artist name. Yeah, yes, actually,
Yes, I like it.
it was my wife. It was my wife's idea who said to me, "You need a stamp to make it more professional." Actually, and I
Well,
say,
it's
"Go
your
for it."
brand. It's your brand at the end of the day. So, um,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
can I ask, what's Alrik? Alrik. What does that is that
Yep.
actually your name, or what does it mean if not?
No, my real name, as you can see, is Adrien, and
Hmm,
Alrik was my pen name for a very long time since back at when I was in the associations with my wife, and my very first pen name was Eric, Erek, and
right.
I changed it for Alrik because A and L are the first letter of two of my first name, Adrien and
Got it.
Laurent. So
Ah,
Laurent is one of my other first name. I have three first names.
three,
That's how it goes sometimes in France.
three. Wow,
Three.
wow,
Adrien, Damien, Laurent.
wow. I used to go to college with a fella,
Yep. Yeah.
and his name was Titus John Henry Hero Green.
Wow. It's
Isn't
a
that
sentence, not a
isn't
it's
that
not
the
a name,
most
it's a sentence.
fantastic name? Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
it feels like a list of Roman emperors. Um,
Yep.
but if he's listening, which he
Lucky
won't
for
be,
him, he doesn't have the name Nero in the middle of it.
no, no, his mother was a little eccentric, if I recall correctly. Let's now
Okay.
let's have a look. So we've got three here. I really like this because it means we can kind of focus in and just like look at some examples. I tell you what I
Yep.
do like when we see the three side by side is your
Okay.
background style for them. I love that.
You love the background of them.
I
Okay.
think it's a really nice. It's not empty, but it kind of works for each card because you've got the Daredevil is obviously well, I assume it's his kind of senses, is his kind of radar, if you like, his sonar. Let's have a look.
About Daredevil, you said it
Mm,
about Daredevil actually.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
because your cursor is on the Hulk. So
Ah, sorry, no, it's
yeah,
Daredevil,
yeah,
Daredevil.
that one. Yeah,
I just
yeah.
let go of the mouse.
Actually, for that one, I wanted to reproduce the radar sense of Daredevil like
Yeah.
Frank Miller used to do in
Yes.
the page of the comic book in the 80s. But at that time, I didn't have the proper tool
Mm.
for reproduce all the circle properly. But now I have this one. So for future set, I hope I will do more round, more perfect round and circles
Mm.
on
Mm.
the character.
So this one now, this is I see.
Uh,
I know who these people are that have pulled these cards as well.
oh yeah.
Um, this one is. Let me wait till it opens. Come on,
Oh,
there
here
he
comes.
is.
Yeah.
There
Hello,
he
big
is.
boy.
Just a bit. But I love these kind of like bubbles that are around him. I don't think they are bubbles, but it's a wonderful effect.
You can thank Jack Kirby for it because
Ah,
I was rereading all the issues of Fantastic Four and X-Men, and Jack Kirby still influences us even
mm,
today.
mm, mm.
All the dots, especially when it comes to space, energy,
Yes.
powerful streams, and so on. He use it's his brand actually, putting dots everywhere. And for this one, actually, like I said earlier, for this one, it was the exception for the perspective. It's a huge titan of wrath, of energy, of power,
Mm,
is a menace. And
mm.
I wanted to pay a tribute for the Hulk like this, and I wanted to for the audience to see the hand first and
Yeah.
then the body,
Yeah.
because your life lies within his grasp. He
Mm,
can break your neck just with if his finger actually. And for this one, yeah, I wanted him howling and screaming, but not like we can see on the pages of Del Keon, for example. I love that artist, what he did on the Hulk, but
mm.
I wanted something else. So for this one, I wanted to for the audience to see the hand first, then the body, and then the scream. And because he's a gamma creatures, I use the green lines around him and the dots for making him more punchy once
Mm,
again.
it's I love the concept of it. It's really well executed.
And the veins around
Yeah,
the shoulder,
look at
the
this.
torso, and the arm. Uh, I was influenced by the work of Ed McGuinness actually for
Mm,
this one.
mm.
I love what he did on the Batman Superman, even if it's not Marvel, but Batman Superman was awesome, and
Yeah.
what he did on the X-Men issues, and I think he worked on Avengers as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, when the veins pop, you know it will not be good for you.
I love his neck. You've nailed that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, the shadow and the lines for the neck
Mm.
are some tips I used from uh, Del Keon and uh, the regretted, the late George Perez.
Ah,
I
yes.
mean, yeah, I miss that
George.
guy a lot.
George.
Yep.
I'd love to have met him. Apparently he was the loveliest guy. He really was.
The work he did on Future Imperfect still amazes me even today.
Mm. My George Perez one is a four issue that he did with Peter David called
Oh,
Sax and Violence. It was in the
I do,
90s.
it's the original name of it, but I don't recall the French name.
Yeah, it's
And we have, you have to know, Jan, we have during a long period of time even now a real problem about French translation of comic books in France, and it's quite a shame. Even if now there are translators who do a more respectful job for the translation English to French, but there are still some mistakes that are unforgivable
Really?
for me as a
Wow.
reader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for the, for the
No,
like I
no,
said,
if it
I go in all different ways.
this is golden. I mean, I wouldn't have known that was a that was a challenge, but it makes perfect sense. Interestingly, one of the most there is a French, I think it's French comic that has been translated to English that I absolutely love. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's Universal War 3.
Yeah. Denis
Ah,
Bajram.
that's it. Yes,
De-
and it's
Denis Bajram. Yeah.
it's so good, so good.
So many details in his work as
Oh,
well.
oh, just
He's really
fantastic.
he's a really good storyteller.
Mm,
Very good. Yeah.
yeah,
If you love science fiction, you have to possess Universal War 3,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
It's hard sci-fi as well. You have to really
Yep.
concentrate. It's not
Yep.
light and fluffy. It's and the twist at the end of the first big arc is
You
just
certainly not
wow.
read it when you have to go to to get your school your kids back to school.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Read it with a nice Chianti.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look at the third one that has been found so far.
The friendly neighborhood
There
Spider-Man.
he is. There he is.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I love what you've done with his eyes. That's nice.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Actually, for this one, I reminded a frame of an image drawn by Steve Ditko when you see a
Mm.
Spider-Man on a wall like this, but he uses his belt with the spider signal. I
Ah.
miss that gadget a lot. Uh, Even in the Marvel movies now, I don't see. I don't know why they didn't use this spider signal. I found it really interesting
Yeah.
because it surprises the criminals during their crime
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. There were
And for
so
this
many
one,
gadgets.
yep. And for this one, actually, if you can see it uh, mo- uh, with a little attention, you can see that his foot are not quite good because of the heels. In the dark, it was just a trick. The foot should be a little lower,
Ah.
if you can
Ah.
see.
Okay.
But for the light, uh, yeah, if you see if the characters is enlightened by a light comes from the left, you shouldn't have the dark areas on his crotch. So
Yes. But
it is a mistake I have to
you have such a tight time
fix.
to do these. It's a common thing when I've spoken to artists that there are definitely pieces within sets that because of deadlines they simply, you know, maybe couldn't quite get that last 10% that they wanted to be able to get from the
I
card
guess
for various reasons.
80% of the time I did the set within the deadlines, even earlier than the deadlines.
Oh wow.
But now, what I do now is, like I said before, I use a lot of time for the preparation and the search of the set before doing the set
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
It buys me a lot of time doing the
Mm,
research
mm.
about this or this outfit, this or this haircut, or this uh, props of the
Yeah.
character. It buys me a lot of time, even for the how can I say it in English? All the color of the characters
Gotcha.
of the you know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yes.
when I have all this tool in the earlier stage, what comes next will flow easily.
Mm, mm.
I
So
just have to be I just have to be careful about the anatomy and
yeah,
the scales.
yeah. I like the shadow. That's good. That's good shadow.
Thank you.
Um, and there it is again. This is not this picture on the back is amazing. I love this artwork.
I love it actually. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yep, I found it really interesting.
I should know who that is, but I don't.
I
Um,
tried, but I guess it was no. I will say I will say nonsense.
yeah, no, let's have a look now. Have any more been found during the time we've been talking? No, unfortunately not. Let's just have a very quick
Yep.
look at some of your older work because obviously this is you've got 5 years of now. I like this one. I'm going to open this one. I know who
Which
owns
one?
this. I know who
Ah,
owns this.
Iron Fist and Power Man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is owned by DeForest. Um, DeForest
Okay.
Torres. He's a policeman in New York. Lovely guy.
Okay.
I really like
I
this.
I really love the costume of Power Man on this one. Very 1920s actually.
Mm, mm,
And I always found the alchemy between Danny Rand and Luke Cage very interesting.
mm.
It's the combination of what we can find in the movies like Lethal Weapon, for example.
Yes.
The two cops are really two really opposite cops have to comply.
Yeah.
That's quite the same here,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And I have a funny story about the set and for Fleer Ultra Spider-Man.
Mm,
At that time, I was able to do a puzzle card on the set, even if I don't draw more than, I will say, just for the example, no more than 4 or 6 puzzle cards. And I played the game all along because for the Fleer Ultra Spider-Man set, I did 4 cards as a puzzle card, so one big image, and I do the Battle of the Sinister Six.
oh,
You see, you just see the on the foreground. You see the left arm of Spider-Man who's spinning some web, and on the background you see the Sinister Six. The composition of this Sinister Six team was um, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Kraven the Hunter, Sandman, Vulture, and the last one was Mysterio, I guess. And
mm,
I found this exercise really interesting, and I just think I wish the best of luck of collectors to have one of the 4 cards and try to complete it with the 3 others. And actually, on the Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2 set, I did the same exercise. I use one, two, three, four again, 4 cards for one big image,
wow.
and I did the Battle of Jotunheim. And at this time, this time I use Beta Rabel, Lady Sif, Lo-Fei on the background, and Loki on the foreground as a tiny as a tiny character.
Ah,
Jen Foster as the Mighty Thor, and I guess that's it.
I
I
found
guess
I found your 4 card puzzle of the Sinister
Oh,
Six on eBay. It's on eBay right now. Let me
yeah, yeah, yeah.
let me get it onto the screen because
Yeah, please
this is
do.
brilliant. Let me just hang on. It's on my phone, so I've got to send it to myself. 1 second. In fact, you know
No
what? I
problem.
will send it. I
We
will
have
send it to
technical.
you.
Actually, to be completely honest with the viewers, we encountered couples of technical issues with Jan along this interview.
It's fine. They'll never know. Right. Let me just open this. Here we go.
Yeah,
Here we go. Right, and let me share this with you. I've also sent it to you so you can look at it.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's the one. That's the one. Look at the goblin.
yeah, the
That's
goblin. Yeah,
brilliant. I love that. I can see his web. There we go. Yeah. So what they often did with the puzzles, it used to be that they split them up, but
yeah.
now they're often one that you often pull them at the same time,
In
especially
the
on
same
e-pack.
box, for example.
Yeah, no, in the same
Uh,
pack as one item. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so this it's unlikely that this seller found all 4 pieces. They probably acquired it as one thing. So I have done that before on ePack when I've hit a sketch and it's been a 2 or 4 card puzzle.
Okay.
Um,
I'm not quite usual with the collecting part actually.
mm,
I mean the creating and the drawing part of the card.
mm,
But I understand what you said.
mm. This is it's Craven. Look at Craven. I love it. No, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool. Isn't that funny? I just searched for it and it came up straight away. I was like, wow, let's have a look. Let's just see if it is out there.
I
And
guess you
sure
can.
enough,
Yeah, the Battle of Jotunheim is also available. I guess
I don't know.
not on eBay, but you can find it on Google.
I'm sure you probably can. I haven't found it yet. I'm not very good at driving this thing whilst talking, so I'll probably stop at that point. Let me
No,
go
no
back.
problem.
Let me
No
go back to
problem.
this one. So let me have a
Yep.
look. What else did we get in Guardians of the Galaxy? Let's just look at a
We
couple
have
more. Um,
Groot,
Groot.
Ronan the Accuser.
You've got to look at Groot, haven't you? That must be fun to draw.
Yeah, yeah, really, yeah. Because I tried to mix the appearance of the look of Groot in the movies and in the comics. I tried to combine, for example, this kind of weird dots or holes, red dots, red holes on
Mm,
his body,
mm,
and he has some grim and angry faces in the comics.
yes,
As I recall.
yes.
And I tried to turn it in a more happy face. I hope it was quite good, and I tried to give uh, uh, I tried to pay a tribute of the first um, uh, Guardian of the Galaxy movie with
Yes.
the Groot having this flower at the top of his finger.
Mm.
I I found this moment very poetic. I'm sorry, I'm trying to to speak the best I could, but
You're, I can understand you, and that's all that counts. This is just us
like,
two having a conversation. Other people will
like
listen in later. That's fine.
if it's fine by you, it's fine by me.
It's fine by me. And then, oh, look, you see, that's nice in a
Silver,
different silver
yeah,
ink.
yep, yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Uh, and I kept later the silver ink for other stuff, for
Mm.
the APs actually.
Ah,
I
yes.
tried to put some extra on the APs actually.
Now, there are still 5 Fleer Ultra Spider-Man cards of yours on ePack. So let's have a look here. So we've already seen a Spidey. Let's have a look at. Oh,
The
hello.
first one is one of my favorites.
Let's
Yep,
have a
this
look.
one. Yeah.
Oh, what's happening here?
At that time, I was trying to, more than just drawing a character, I was trying to tell a story in one
Mm,
frame. The who, the when, and the where. As you can see Spider-Man prepared to be attacked by the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and you don't know on the bottom of the card if it's Venom or the Sandman.
mm,
Pick one.
yeah.
And I found this exercise interesting, and it's more the way I think now when I create a card now.
Mm.
When I choose a character, I try to set him in a, to set the character in a situation.
This is cool. I love it. By the
Thank
way,
you.
for those who might be listening to this, appreciating you cannot see the cards that we're talking about, I will put each of these card images on the show notes, so you can find those on the Facebook page for the podcast. Obviously, if you are watching on YouTube, then you will be able to see exactly what we're talking about. But audio listeners, fret not. Get thee to the Facebook page, and you will see exactly what we're talking about. I'll put all these pictures up there as well. Um,
With just a few words for this one, you can say that you can see on the foreground
mm,
Spider-Man turning his back on the left, preparing to attack and spin some web. And on the background, on the gray-brown wall, you can see the shadows of the Green Goblin on his glider, one of the tentacle of Doc Ock on the right, and on the bottom of the card, you can see some dust or goo that that seems like to be either Venom or the Sandman. Pick one.
uh, well, what about Carnage? Could be Carnage.
It could be Carnage as well,
Could be
but
if it's Carnage, he's in trouble.
if it was Carnage, I guess I put some blades
Yeah,
or sword-like goo
yeah,
instead of just drops
yeah, yeah.
and waves.
And of course the one next to it is
The
Venom.
battle between Venom and Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's cool. How much fun is it for you to draw Venom? Because I know some artists really, really, really like it.
I like him because it it allows me to do something on this character I can't on the other, such as uh, the deterioration of the hole in his suit. I can't
Mm.
draw, for example, I can't draw damage costume Spider-Man. And I wish I could because I love this. And I actually I am rereading now the Eric Larson issues on Spider-Man,
Ah,
and he loved to torn apart the costume of Peter
yeah,
Parker,
yeah,
and it shows the impact, the violence of the battles,
yeah.
and I can't do this for this character as for the rest of the Marvel ones, but with Venom you can play with it. And
Mm.
actually, on the Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, I have some cards where you can see Spider-Man being emerge in the goo in the within the symbiotes.
Oh wow.
It was it was because on the first final version it was a damage costume of Spider-Man. Instead of fix it with a blank ink and redraw on the fix zone,
Hmm.
I use the goo, I use the symbiotes as the fix.
Clever, clever. Good, good. It must be interesting for you to know that with Fleer Ultra Spider-Man and with Fleer Ultra Avengers, that your art, albeit your art is on a sketch card, but your art is in the same set as Tom Fleming, as Ray Largo, as Not Bill Sienkiewicz, Simone Bianchi, Greg Hildebrandt was in Fleer Ultra Spider-Man. That must be, given what you've told me about your influences and the comics and the artists that you liked in the 90s, that must be quite amazing.
Let me tell you something, actually. Each time I finish a set, I feel really proud and sad at the same time. Proud because I achieve a goal to draw the character of my childhood when I thought it wasn't even possible back then at the time. And I feel sad because some card, I want to keep some card for me, actually. I found them so cool that I want them for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the proper word for it, but at the end of a set, when I see it made it official on the social media, when Upper Deck, for example, release the Fleer Ultra Avengers set, I have this imposter syndrome. I don't know if it's the
Yes.
right word for it.
Yes. No, I know what you mean.
I at that time I think of me. I'm not worthy. I'm not relevant. Even just thinking a couple of months ago, I was just drawing for myself or for a convention as an amateur. And now, just like you said, I am aside with art of Simone Bianchi and Tom Fleming and all these great artists I admire. And it's such a weird feeling. It's such a weird feeling. And I'm still, and even now, I'm still processing them.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, actually, I really enjoy it. It's working with a deck is really a roller coaster.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Do you so you have two more sets that you can't talk about after Fleer Ultra Avengers?
Actually, let me count in my head without saying it loud. I
Okay,
don't
all
want
right, all right.
to betray myself. Sorry for the blank
That's
for
okay.
the person who listened the podcast. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Um, Four sets. Four
Wow, okay.
sets. But to be completely honest, I worked on five. Marvel Allure was released. I saw.
Yes. Yes, that's out.
I worked on Marvel Allure, but my set was completely rejected.
Oh no. Oh, that's awful.
1 month straight to the garbage. I don't know what they did. I don't. I always wonder what they did to the rejected cards of the artist. They don't. They don't grant it for the set.
Yeah.
Are they going to destroy them or keeping them in some kind of loser archives? I don't know. But for Marvel Allure, it was rough because the set was set to be in 2021, and I was hired for the set in the summer 2022, and I only had 1 month to do 40 cards.
Wow.
I did my best during the process. Asked for feedback to Madden Ford if it's okay, if it's right, and even him didn't know why all the set was rejected. Actually, that's the dark reasons once again.
That's dark. Yeah, yeah. No, that's dark. And I've listened. We've heard
And
that
sadly
from.
for you, Jan, in my set there was a black cat card.
Ah, curses. No, I mean my understanding is that
But
they destroy
on
them.
the
But
on on a brighter note, I was allowed to keep the APs for me, and I remain them blank. So if you want a commission, we can discuss about it later
Well,
if you want.
well, what I'm hoping is when we're almost finished, I will ask you to tell people where they can find you online and they can hit you up to get you some cash to get you some of those APs because um, that's what we want to do. You know, we want to hook you up. Um,
Oh,
do you do you know if there's any others about to come down the pipeline from Matt to you? Anything on the horizon that I mean, you obviously can't tell us about it yet, but hopefully there'll be some more coming down the pipe.
actually, I don't know.
Ah,
Actually, I don't know. All I can tell for now it's that about the sketch card, about the set I can talk about. Um, for one set, there was a mistake, a communication mistake that we can turn it to a huge advantage for me.
oh,
Because instead of making once a set, I did it twice. And
okay.
it is the set I am the most proud of today
Oh, wow.
because I was able to play with character I didn't draw before. But I can tell more. I can tell more. And about my work, you can find me on Instagram, Alrik Comics, ALRIKOMICS. I try to spell it properly in
I'll
English.
put the link.
Uh,
I'll put the link in the show notes as well. It'll be under the video. Don't you worry.
you you tricked me. You want you let me spell it before you tell me this.
I didn't know you were going to say it straight away. That's why.
So
Uh,
you can find me on Instagram and you can find me on the Facebook group where you
yes,
are too, Jan, where I post my archives on my previous sets
yes,
as a making of. And
yes. No, I love
actually,
those.
for the next sets, like I did on the Fleer Ultra Avengers, I will post the different steps of the card, the rough, the pencil, the color, and the final version.
Cool.
Uh, I think it could be interesting for people who want to know how to draw, how to create, and so on.
Mm. But collectors enjoy seeing that as well. It's a really good thing for collectors to see, and people who like the sketch cards because there's so many sketch card collectors out there, um, and just that process is fascinating, and I love that you share that. So please don't ever stop sharing that.
My pleasure, my pleasure. As I enjoyed seeing making of movies or artist painting a big illustration, it's
Mm,
always you always can find some useful information, even if you don't draw or paint or sculpt. Um, it's very pleasant to watch
mm,
first.
mm,
And
mm,
then when you pay more attention, you can see, yeah, use that kind of brush for doing this. Yeah, you put some light because you want that object to shine a little more. Um, eh, that's what I like about artists in comic books and cards. You don't have one way to create. We have as many ways as many artists, and
mm,
I find it very inspiring, actually.
mm,
Um, about the world of the sketch card, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, even if I draw for Upper Deck since 2016, I had a gap of 5 years. I remain some kind of a newbie, a noob. I don't know what the proper word is, but I'm an apprentice. I'm still learning. But during a convention, once again, not a convention, during the Free Comic Book Day, my comic book shop set in 20, it was, I guess it was in 2015 or 2016. There was a friend called Jérôme. Hello, Jérôme, if you see this video.
Hello, Jérôme. Hello.
He was a member of an association called Comics Art Cards, who has a goal to share and show different kind of cards. And with him, I discovered an entire unknown world to me, because for me, you have to understand something I should have mentioned earlier. It's in France, the cards are not as popular as in English countries. When you asked French people, a random French people, if he knows something about collecting cards, he will ask you mostly, he will answer Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's all. The person will not be, isn't aware of the franchise, the richness. If it's a word, the richness of the medium.
Yeah.
With Jérôme, for example, I discovered you can have golden foil card, you can have an hologram card. I mean the 3D we used to pick up in the cereal pack.
That's right.
when you eat your bowl of cereal. Yep. And I have a Nightcrawler and the Spider-Man based on Mark Bagley drawing card in 3D, and that's astonishes me, and I find it very interesting and fascinating. And the very best example I talk to people where they are not aware, when they are not aware.
Aware.
Sorry.
It's okay.
When I ask people who are not aware of the medium, I ask them, do you know Mars Attacks, the Tim Burton movies? Usually they said yes. And then I go, did you know that it's not adapted from a comic book, but from a set of cards? And they said, seriously? And then I go, yeah, when you collect card of Mars Attacks, you have on the front a drawing, an illustration, and in the back you have the short story telling you what you just saw. And in the bottom of the text, you have a small teasing of what's coming next, and you want to know more. And when you collect all of the cards, it tells you the story of the invasion of the Martians. And for me, it was the ultimate way to use the medium of the cards, because it mixes the drawing, the story, the collecting stuff, and you have the deleted scenes, the alternate ending, and so on.
Yeah.
And I just wish this kind of mechanism will be more popular and common in other franchise like Marvel, for example, telling the story. I don't know, the reign of Magneto in the Marvel universe, for example. And at this time, the people realizes the importance, the power of the media. I guess, and I hope. and that when I go to convention now, I am not presenting myself as just an artist, but as a sketch card artist. Uh, I said that I am a professional illustrator on cards, and then I go to the example I just mentioned earlier. Um, I want to share in France this passion of the
Yeah,
cards.
yeah, yeah. That's
And things
brilliant. I love that. I love that.
I,
Do
I,
you?
I yep.
Oh no, I
Tell
was
me.
going to say, do you go? Sorry, I've got a real itch on my leg. I think something bit me when I was having a run this morning. I had an insect bite my leg. Um, do
Is it a
you?
radioactive spider?
Well, who knows? If I suddenly start sticking to the ceiling and I lose a lot of weight, then probably. Um, do you? Do you? You mentioned when we were trying to schedule this recording, you mentioned that you've got conventions coming up. So how many? I didn't know that this was such a big scene to have conventions like this in France. Are there many over the summer that you go to?
Um, alors, actually, in France, you can't spend a weekend without a convention. Mainly because conventions gather pop culture in all ways, meaning uh, Japanese pop culture, comics pop culture, cinematic pop culture, and on and on and on and on. Actually, on my agenda, not next weekend, but the weekend after, I will be at a convention called Japan Expo in Paris. It's one of the biggest European convention. They sell it that way, and it's the rendezvous of all the manga lovers and the comics lovers as well, even if the comics have a very small part in it, because the main uh, topic of this convention is the Japanese culture in
Mm,
all its aspects. It could be manga, origami, bushido, and on and on and on.
anime, yeah.
Anime, yeah. Actually, I'm a huge fan of Cowboy Bebop.
Ah, wow. So Adrian has just showed me a tattoo on his arm, which is quite special. You'll have to go to YouTube for that, people, because there's
Yes.
no way I can do it justice.
And actually, wait, almost forgot. I tattooed myself my own Spider-Man here
Oh, wow. Okay.
as a
So you've been
trompe-l'œil.
practicing. You've been practicing on your own arm.
Yeah, actually, I tattooed myself the head of Nightcrawler and Mystic on my leg, Spider-Man on my forearm, Invincible as well, and that's it because I'm left-handed. Oh yes, the eyes of Venom on my left knee
Oh, wow. Okay.
with some goo around them. Uh, once again, I go in many ways. I'm sorry. Uh, I would be a horrible guide if you follow me
No, no,
for
I love it.
some.
I love it. The more random, the better. The more random, the better.
But about convention, you have a lot of convention along the in the year, but especially from May to October.
Mm,
It's the largest season when you can where you can
yeah.
find a convention about pop culture, and it's for me the opportunities to show and share my love for the cards.
Mm, mm.
And actually, I have some example here to show you.
Oh,
I guess uh, you have this example,
yes,
the
yes.
X-Men trading card by Jim Lee.
That's the Bob
I, I,
Budiansky book. Yeah.
yeah, Actually, we have here a French publisher who made a French version of it. But in this French version of it, you don't have the extra of the original one. Meaning, I have to show off a little, sorry.
No, you go for it.
But for the audience, please know that there is a cover. The cover of the book
Oh, the dust cover. Yeah.
Is actually a magnificent illustration drawn by Jim Lee.
I never
With
noticed that. I never. Where is my copy? I don't know
you
where my
have your
copy is.
own.
I have it
If you
here.
have, go have a look.
Where? Let's
Go
have
have a look.
Where is it? I've no idea where it is. It's here somewhere. I've not long moved into this space, and I know I've got it. I can't even see it. It's here somewhere. Anyway, it is a magnificent book, and I'm I'm actually Bob. Here it is. It's right in front of me. Um, uh, where
we will find out if it's okay with you too, if you have this version too
I
as well.
expect so. Yes. Hang on. No, I know why. It's because there's a small piece of tape affixing
Yep.
it to the cover, so
Yep.
I haven't
Because
looked.
yep, because of the tape too, you have the cards. You have two of them.
OMFG. Yes, no, the cards I've seen. Yes. Wow, that's amazing. That's stunning.
For the
Um,
audience, I made Jan realize that he has
I need to
used
pay
a
attention.
fantastic
I need to
illustration.
pay attention. Now, the wonderful thing is that Bob very kindly thanked myself and Norrin, who used to co-host this podcast with me, in the credits for the book, in the acknowledgements, just
Wow,
at the end. So we are just on page 271 there, just at the end.
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is very
You,
kind of him to do so, because we when we interviewed him, once we had finished recording, he was picking our brains about all sorts of stuff, and so it was very kind of him to acknowledge that. That was really, really nice of him, and he's a lovely guy.
I
Um,
guess it was a wonderful experience for you.
yeah, so I mean, listen, this whole thing is great to talk to people, um, who've worked in all areas of this industry. This is such a good book. So for those who don't have this,
Yeah.
let me just tell you what it is. This is a book that it was published by Abrams Books, who've done loads of similar books about all the vintage Star Wars sets. So they've reproduced a lot of those Star Wars cards as well. And this is focusing on Jim Lee's X-Men trading cards. And it basically goes through and reproduces all of the art. It talks about the design of the set. It talks about how they made the set, how they published the set. It's
And
got
it was the first time where Jim Lee just drawn
yeah,
exclusively for
yeah,
this set.
and
It's not.
it's brilliant. It's such a good book. I really
Uh,
hope this is why I want
yep.
people to buy it, because the more people who buy this, not second hand, buy it brand new
Mhm.
from somewhere. The more people who buy this, it means that they'll probably do more. They'll
Oh,
make more for different
good
series.
to know.
Wouldn't you love to
And
see one of these? Right, paging Bob Budiansky, come in, Bob Budiansky. Wouldn't you love to see one of these for the Mark Bagley 1994 Amazing Spider-Man set?
you got to be
Wouldn't that be
kidding me.
incredible? No, I don't know if it's
This is
happening,
my
but I would love it if they
this
did,
is
if they made one.
Jan, I have to stop you. You have to know something. This is my holy grail in cards. Mark Bagley Spider-Man
Yeah.
is my holy grail. Actually, I don't have the full set with me right now. I only have some some cards, not all of the sets.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, when I was in high school, his father actually lives in San Diego, California, and I asked him to give me a souvenir, and he offers me this.
Oh, they're wonderful.
It is
Yeah.
a Nokia. And my friend Jerome knew that, and I asked him at that time if I had to cut the card, and he said, "No
No.
way,
So
don't
what
do
what
this."
what Adrian is holding up is in some comics in the 90s, there were inserts that went into the comic,
Yep, that's an insert. Yep,
an
actually, it
insert,
was
and it
from
was
an
actually
insert in a
stapled
book.
in. It was actually stapled
Yep.
in. And they said introducing Marvel Master Prints, and what they are, there are several of them. There's one focusing on enemies. Which one do you have there, sir?
Which one? Which one? Let me tell you.
It will
I don't
say
have the number.
on the bottom of the cards, it will say so yes. So you've got that one. Do
Spider
you
Sense,
have
Spider Lip,
do
and
you have
Spider
this one?
Strength. Oh, I have the chameleon only.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
have the Crav. I
When
don't have
when we
Craven
finish,
nor Spider-Man. Yep.
let me have your address and I will send you this. I have
No,
that's a
no,
spare.
seriously?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Would you like
okay.
one
You know
from?
what?
Would
You
you
want to
like
play?
one?
You want to play that? You want to play that game? Okay, let
Would
me
you like
play
one of
this
these
game
as
with
well?
you.
Do you want one of these?
Uh, oh,
It's the same, but for Fleer Ultra X-Men.
who did
It
this?
it was in a comic book. What? Who did this piece of art? Hang on. This is Bob Larkin. That's a Bob Larkin piece of art that he did for the Fleer Ultra X-Men set.
Ah, the wedding of Scott Summers
Yeah,
and yeah, nice.
yeah. Well,
Oh, they look nice.
you can have that one as well. Let me put those aside for you. What else
Okay.
do we have here? What else do we have here?
You know
Uh,
what? This one, Jan. I show a black card to
oh, the
Jan for
PSC
the
that
other.
you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this for you.
Oh, bless
You
you,
want to
sir.
play
You're
that
very
game?
kind.
Yeah.
Well, do you have?
Actually, this interview is changing to a trade.
It is. Well, it's not. It's not. Yeah, listen, I'm not expecting anything from you apart from your time, which is
It's
wonderful.
my no.
Um,
Sincerely, it's my pleasure, Jan. And
this is brilliant.
I just want to finish about one thing about the Jim Lee book on
Yes.
the about the card. If you pay attention about the wide illustration,
Hmm.
like I said, he didn't just drew the character. He set them in situation. For example, you can see strong guy
Yeah.
playing with the rifle of Cable, putting his finger in it. You can see the face of Nightcrawler
Oh wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mocking at laughing at Wolfsbane and that
Beast, is that? Oh
yep
yes. Yeah.
the two you have to pay attention to all the small details. You can see Rachel Summers here
Hmm.
mourning. We don't know exactly why. We guess it's because of her story.
She's just having a bad day.
Yeah,
So for those who haven't done so yet, the Uncanny X-Men book, have a look at the inside of the dust jacket because that's where the illustration is that Adrian is describing. It's such a cool
and
book. It's a really cool book.
yeah, and actually, first of all, I bought the French version,
Mm,
and I wanted to have the cards, but only in the original version. That's
that's
why
right.
I have the same copy, but in two different versions. They are complementary, if I can say
That's
that.
right. That's right.
And
Um,
I found it's a very interesting, nice piece of history
it is.
of trading cards.
It is amazing.
If they make the Marvel, I really hope
I
they
really
will do
hope
the Mark
so.
Bagley.
I don't know if they
Oh,
are,
that will be so awesome.
but there's a set that deserves a retrospective or a setrospective, which is what I like to do on this podcast. I need to get someone on to talk about that set because it's just such a good set, um, and it's often overshadowed. There aren't many of the comic artists who were drawing the comic at the time who did a trading card set as well. And Jim Lee and Mark Bagley are pretty much the only two that I can think of who were the regular creators on the comics who also found time to draw an entire trading card set.
I guess there isn't
I can't
anybody
think of
else.
anyone else. Um, so yeah,
I know in the Spider-Man set, it's not all drawn by Mark Bagley. There is also Dodson did
Wow.
some
Okay.
card of it. Let me just have a quick look in my
I'm
binders.
learning something new every day. I learn something new about this hobby, which is what's so cool.
Like here, like I showed to Jan some cards. As you can see, I don't have all the cards. I have just some of them.
Mm.
But in the same set, you have right here, you can see the art
Oh, yes. Yes.
of Dodson. It's not Rachel. Rachel is his wife.
It's
His
Terry.
first Terry Dodson.
That's
Thank you
it.
very much.
Yeah.
Once again, you're my backup memory.
Yeah.
Thank you
No,
very
I,
much.
I didn't know that they were active that early in comics. I didn't know they were doing
Look
stuff
at
that
this
far back.
wonderful Spider-Man.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant. It's
Yeah,
such
they're
a good
really
set.
good.
Such a good set.
Yeah, really awesome.
Um,
And
so
that, wait, tell me.
so Adrian, do you have your own PSC personal sketch card stock? Do you have your own stock?
Do I have some of them? Yeah, I have some of them. I have black and white and color. I
Marvelous. And do you brand them on the back? If you turn them over, are they blank on the back, or do they have your logo or
Yeah,
your signature?
actually, they are blank, but on some of them, I use my stamp, my signature stamp
Mm.
as back. But I'm working like this one, for example,
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes.
more clean
Mm.
than
Mm,
my
mm, mm.
handwriting. I'm working on actually a visual of a back card, but I don't have the time right now because of upcoming conventions and
Sure.
the set I'm working on. The deadlines are coming soon, so
Right.
I have to put some work on them. Um, I want you to know that since my relaunch career as a sketch card artist back in April 2022, at the end of the year, in December 2022, just by curiosity, made a quick count uh, about how many cards I did and for how many companies. I started with Upper Deck and I finished 2022 with 4 different companies, and I did more than 450 illustration.
Wow. Wow.
The so there are more to come. You just
Yes.
have to wait a little.
Yes. Because I noticed that you've done some for iconic creations. That's Achilles Kokonakis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They
And
are
R.R.
wonderful.
Parks as well.
They are lovely.
Mm. Yeah.
I worked on Yokai Parade. It was really interesting. That's why I like working on Sketchcard too. It's because of the topic of the sets. I like to do some research up, to know where am I going? Is it like I think it is or not?
Mm, mm,
And about Yokai Parade, for example, it was not just the Japanese culture, it was Asian culture,
mm.
including Chinese, Cambodian, and etc. etc. And it was really fascinating because, especially of their guidelines,
Yeah.
the Dina helped me a lot thanks to these guidelines. I learned a lot about this culture, and I did my best to do these cards, and I hope you will enjoy it when they will
No, that's
release.
cool. So that's the new set from Iconic Creations. It's on your header on your Facebook profile at the moment, the artist
Yep.
showcase. So I will put an image of that in the show notes as well,
And I
so that
work
people
for
can see it.
Perna Studios as well for the fourth sets of classic mythology, if I
Yes,
recall that
yes. I
properly.
was about to ask for you to give them a
Yep.
call, but or for them to give you a call, but they already have given you a call. So that's brilliant. Tony and Elaine are wonderful, wonderful human beings. Um, as
You know
are
them well, I
you.
guess.
Yeah, yeah, yes. They've been on this podcast. Tony is always sending me rude voicemail messages.
Rude voicemail. Why
Well,
so?
not necessarily rude. Some of them are quite eccentric, is the word I would use.
You
And
have to give me an example, Jan.
they've well, I tell you what I will do. What I will do is I will put one of Tony's eccentric messages at the end of the podcast on the audio version. So
Okay.
because quite frankly, I've got to do
You should
something
ask
with
for
them.
authorizations to Tony before to do that, I guess.
No, he's already sent them to me. No, that's the thing. He sends them to the podcast. He doesn't send them to me. He sends
Oh,
them to the podcast
oh, okay,
because,
okay.
yeah,
I
people can
didn't get
leave
it. That's
voicemails
perfect.
for the podcast, but everyone always
Okay.
forgets that they can leave voicemails for the podcast, and no one ever does. I mean, people used to when, like 4 years ago, when we were new, we had a few people leave us voicemails, but no one gives a fuck now. No one does it at all. So never mind. Maybe someone will after this episode. Probably Tony. Again, I'm sure. Right, Adrien, I'm going to circle us into land so that you can go and be with your lovely wife, or
Thank you
finish
very
your
much.
art. And
Thank
I
you.
need
Thank
to
you.
go and be with my daughter because otherwise she will be cross with me because I need to watch
Oh,
some Disney with her. Um,
which one?
Adrian,
Which one?
what I don't know. Whatever's on Disney Plus. Probably
Pick one.
uh, Luca. She loves
Oh,
Luca.
if you like monsters movie, especially during the Hammer area,
Mm,
you will love it. Really. There
mm.
are a lecture of it. I found it really interesting.
Yeah. No, we've
Uh,
seen Luca. We've watched it like half a dozen times. So
oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
We're always watching the same film.
It's not the first.
Always watching
It's
the
not the
same
first
films.
view. Okay, okay.
Always,
It's not the
always
first one.
watching the same film. Um, so it's either that or I have to watch Frozen for the 89th time.
Oh,
Um,
come on.
I listen.
Thank you.
I've given up now. I just have to let it go.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for this time, Jan.
You're
Very.
very
It
welcome.
was a real pleasure, and I know I only scratched the surface of it because
That's all we ever
there
do.
will be so much more to tell. Maybe for
Mhm.
future numbers of
Yes,
podcasts
yes,
will be my
absolutely,
pleasure. And
absolutely.
give me your address. I will send you some surprises for
We
you.
will do this. We will
And
do this afterwards when
offline,
people
yes.
are not listening, um, because
So
they
thank you
don't
very
want to
much.
know where I live.
I hope my English wasn't that bad, was understandable.
You're good.
Uh, Either way, I'm sorry, and I'm working on it. I know my French accent might be find it. You might find my French accent disturbing, sexy, ugly. Pick one, whatever. But
Alluring. Alluring is the word I will use.
you make me blushes. Uh, so thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you, Jan, for this wonderful time and experience with you. Hope there will be more, perhaps. And continuez à collectionner. Keep collecting.
Thank you very much indeed. À bientôt.